Hey folks, this is Sam once again, and welcome back to another video. And I'm finishing up my series of videos where I give you a look at my updated movie collection. And I figured few people liked the background, said why don't you make videos here? And since I'm here already finishing this up, why not do a couple reviews, see how that works out. Now, the films I'm going to review are the Evil Dead films, which I love this trilogy. I know Ash vs. Evil Dead is out. There's some stuff I've heard that I don't care for of what I've heard, but I'm gonna wait till the season's over because I don't have stars. I'm gonna wait till the season's over, which I think will be in January, and then I'm gonna watch them all, find them somewhere online or something because I don't have stars. I'll watch them all in a marathon, and then I will give my fair opinion on it, whether it be positive or negative. But I did a video talking about all three of these films in one single video, but I wanted to do separate reviews because I think these films deserve it. Because again, I do love these three movies a lot. Of course, I ranted on the remake, which I do not care for. Will I give that another look? Maybe, for fair sake. But to show how much of a fan I am, I mean, I played the video games of Hail to the King for PlayStation 1. A Fistful of Boomstick for PlayStation 2, which is my favorite, and Regeneration for PlayStation 2. Will I do a review for them? Maybe I could do a video giving my thoughts on them. Part of me wants to do a playthrough of Evil Dead Fistful of Boomstick, but it'd just be me with a webcam on the TV. I don't have the equipment for those stuff. I mean, even to show more, I have the Evil Dead Companion, which if you're an Evil Dead fan, this is definitely a book worth reading, by Bill Warren, which gives you a lot of info on the Evil Dead films. Very packed with information. Again, if you like the Evil Dead films all, this is definitely worth a look. It says we're going to be talking about the first Evil Dead. I even have the DVD where it looked like the Book of the Dead. I know they did one for Evil Dead 2, but I'm fine with the Blu-ray I have. I would say of the three films, that's Evil Dead 2 is my favorite, but I'll get into that. But, I mean, this one's, it's crumbling. Like, if I touch it, stuff crumbles. That's how old it is. But I keep this because this was such a cool thing to have. I mean, to have the actual Book of the Dead with drawings by, I believe, Tom Sullivan. Just really cool to look at. See, as I'm doing this, pieces are falling on me. But, yeah, I always thought this was a really cool thing. And I have the DVD here. And what I showed you was the other DVD I have of the first film, the Ultimate Edition, which has most of the features on this. The only thing this has that this doesn't is this has a 30-minute documentary that Bruce Campbell made on fans called Finalysis, which has a little appearance by Tim Thomerson, which that was cool. And pretty much, again, about 20-30 minutes on, you know, fans and the fandom. Not just Evil Dead, but any kind of fans. Again, called Finalysis. It's not on here, but the other stuff is. And before I get in the movie, disc 1 is the, actually, first show you how it looks like. You have poster of the Evil Dead in there, which is cool. All the different covers. 3-disc set. One disc is the widescreen version, in which you get a pretty good documentary, about 50 minutes long. And you get interviews with Bruce Campbell, yes, Eli Roth, Edgar Wright, I believe, as well as Rob Tappert, who produced it, the crew members, and so forth. The audio commentary with Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert, which was on the previous versions. Disc 2, Treasures from the Cutting Room Floor, which is a lot of pretty much what I said, stuff that was cut out, raw footage from back in the day. It's probably an hour long. And then Disc 3, Life After Death, The Ladies of the Evil Dead, were about 15 minutes where they interview the three women, Ellen Sandweiss, Betsy Baker, and Sarah York, but that's not her real name. They said her real name, I think it's Teresa or something like that. I mean, you can look it up. The Ladies of the Evil Dead meet Bruce Campbell. Discovering the Evil Dead, which was on that previous DVD, which talks about the UK and the video nasty business. Unconventional, which just talks about the conventions that they went to, including Hal Delridge, which again, that's not his real name, I forget his real name. Pretty much all the cast members talking about their experience at conventions. Most of them new to it, except Bruce Campbell. At the drive-in, reunion panel, makeup test, trailer, TV spot, still gallery, poster memorabilia gallery. That's pretty much says it all. The Ultimate Edition. I mean, it says Ultimate Edition, but again, the Finalysis thing on that previous, that Book of the Dead. And again, I know there's one for Evil Dead 2, but I'm fine with the Blu-ray I have because it has a lot of good features. But it doesn't have that Finalysis, and of course, the short film that they made, they being Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, and I believe even Alan Sandweiss was in that, called Within the Woods, which they made to try to get money to make Evil Dead, which was called Book of the Dead. And then the producer, or the big guy, Irvin Shapiro, said, Book of the Dead sounds like something someone's going to read. Change it to The Evil Dead. And I must admit, The Evil Dead I like better as a title than Book of the Dead. Just The Evil Dead just fits it. And weirdly enough, I'm going to go a little bit all over the place, but this was the last Evil Dead I saw, because I had seen this film first, Army of Darkness, when this film came out on VHS, because, well, it looks cool, really enjoy the film, I still do. And I thought, okay, Army of Darkness. And then I read a Fangoria magazine. I think it just, one of those special magazines Fangoria did, had Jason Voorhees on the cover, that big old hockey mask, and it was just a bunch of movie reviews in the magazine. And one of them had reviews for these films called Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, and there's a picture of Bruce Campbell. I went, what's that? He looks like, wait a minute. And I'm reading the reviews, wait a minute, chainsaw for a hand? Wait a minute. You mean like this? Wait, there were movies before this? Then I found Evil Dead 2 on a VHS, and I watched the shit out of that. And then my mom had a friend who had tons of VHS tapes, but they were like taped VHS tapes. You know, back in the day, you rent a movie, you tape it, maybe did 2 or 3 movies on a tape. And he had a copy of The Evil Dead taped. And that was the first time I watched that. So really enough, I saw this last. And what can you say about the ultimate experience in grueling terror, The Evil Dead? I really enjoy the film. Yeah, when you look at it, it has its mistakes. If you give a shit about continuity, you will blow your brains out because, for example, a woman, one point, her hair changes to gray. For those who've seen the film, you know the scene I'm talking about. Someone gets Deadeye gets shot in the face, and you can pretty much see the tube that pumps the blood, and there's a lot of mistakes. And as well as in Evil Dead 2, you see mistakes. And granted, I mean, that's one thing I could say that, like, if you want to fix stuff, like George Lucas, who stupidly fixed Star Wars films, which they didn't need fixing because they weren't broken to begin with, like, to fix actual mistakes, I can understand. For example, Raiders of the Lost Ark, when Indiana Jones was looking at the snake and he saw a little reflection and they took that out. I can understand fixing actual mistakes using digital technology. But, you know, Star Wars stuff, that's another topic. But I can understand that, but I think a lot of people won't go for it because maybe that's part of the charm for them. And those mistakes really, it's one of those, oh, okay, that's, you know, you notice. But this film works for me. I like Bruce Campbell. Nowadays, he seems kind of like a jaded guy. Maybe some people disagree with me. I mean, I'm not really a fan of some of his Q&As because he seems like he treats some of his fans kind of. I mean, that's his thing. He's a sarcastic guy. But like a friend of mine said, when a person who looks nervous gives him something, and when he walks away, Like Bruce Campbell's kind of making fun of behind the person's back who seemed really nervous. It's kind of like, that's not really helping the person, or giving a middle finger to someone walking away. I don't know, just sometimes it just seems a little bit like an ass, but, I never met the guy personally. And I've liked a lot of Bruce Campbell's acting. I liked him in Moontrap. I liked his bit in Waxwork 2. I liked him in the Evil Dead films. In Ash vs. Evil Dead, I haven't seen. I like Bubba Hotep. But, I mean, I don't love everything he did. I mean, Alien Apocalypse is not that great. The DVD, I don't mind the commentary, but the movie itself isn't too great. The Man with the Screaming Brain sucks. I got it because I was curious about it because he's Bruce Campbell, but that movie I thought sucked. Terminal Invasion wasn't too much of anything. My Name is Bruce, I thought it was pretty crappy. So I don't think he's perfect. I don't love all his movies, but there's a lot of stuff I liked. And I think he does a good job here. I mean, 5 college students, they go off to a cabin in the woods. It seems like the most basic premise for a film. But it works because of the ingenuity on shooting such a low-budget film, and all they had was time. Because this took quite a few years to make, actually, at least to finish. I think from like 79 to, it came out certain places 81 and certain places 83. So it took quite a bit while to get it made, but just what Sam Raimi did with the camera, moving it, making it a little bit big part of the movie. His influence being influenced from the Three Stooges and some crazy stuff. The third act of this film, I loved to death. I love the third act of this film. Again, I don't mind Bruce Campbell. Joe LaDuca, who did the music in all 3 Evil Dead films, I think he does a great job on all 3 for the music. Certain sound effects, just the sound of the Deadites. When you hear that in another movie, you're like, that sounds like a Deadite, so it's something memorable to me. And just what you could do with a low budget. I mean, what I did in the third act of this film, and just certain angles and certain stuff, and Bruce Campbell turning and right close on his eyes, or when he's walking and the camera's right above up on top, and each time it goes through this paneling on top of him, there's a sound effect of whoop, 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 whoop. And you're like, wow, that's really interesting. It's just really cool. It's like, whoa, that's really neat. Light bulb filling up with blood and exploding, a screen projector bleeding and blinding Bruce Campbell, and just people who say that Bruce Campbell's character of Ash was always an asshole, they need to watch Evil Dead 1 and 2 again, because he's not like that at all. There's not one moment in this film where he's an asshole. Even when his friend, the character's name is Scotty, he's hurt, he's getting him water, trying to give him water. When the one girl gets the pencil in the ankle, digging it in. Bruce is trying to help, but he's just a guy that gets his ass kicked, but keeps getting back up. That was kind of he was a normal guy, and plus it wasn't too often you saw a male protagonist. I'm not saying never. I mean, you have like Blade films, which are, the action horror, or Ken Foray. I mean, there's Galen Ross, but Ken Foray was more the hero in Dawn of the Dead. I'm not saying never, because, again, the collector, the collection. But usually in these kind of films, it would have been a female. Even in Within the Woods, the short film, Alan Sandweiss was the survivor. Well, kind of survivor. Bruce Campbell was the one who got turned to a Deadite. Kind of like his character would do in Evil Dead 2, but much more of a dismal end for Bruce Campbell's character in Within the Woods. And I don't know why that was never put out. I remember seeing it and not being too impressed by it, to be honest, but I just say that because everyone's always asking about it, so, I mean, you can find it online, but I'm just saying to put it officially out there so that people would, they kept asking for it, just give it to them. But yeah, I mean, Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, they would make these Super 8 films. They made tons of stuff, and they met people like Scott Speedo, who would direct Intruder, which Bruce Campbell has a cameo at the end of the film. And Sam Raimi and Ted Raimi's in it. I really love Intruder. The ending, the sequel bait. I don't care for the sequel bait ending, but the rest of the film I really do enjoy. And of course, Josh Becker, who worked on this film, he would go on to direct Thou Shalt Not Kill Except, which is another film I like. Have it right over here actually on Blu-ray. And also directed that Alien Apocalypse, which isn't that great, but... And he's also in the film Mosquito in a little cameo. But I mean, just a lot of people. KMB getting their start. Big time in Evil Dead 2. Just a lot of stuff. I mean, I showed you the book. I also wanted to show you, I should save this for Army of Darkness, but I even have this. That's how big of a fan I am of the trilogy. And I don't know if this still works.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Oh, usually...
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick. Groovy.
I was going to say he has more to say than that, but yeah, I can't believe that still works. That's way back, at least... At least 10 years. So that battery for that thing has been there for at least 10 years. And I've never changed it. So maybe because I never really used it that much, but that's a damn good battery for, I mean, at least, more than that, at least almost 14 years. 14 years at least. Because I know it was before 2002 that I got that, so. Yeah, it's almost 2016, Jesus. So I had to do, just couldn't believe it, but, I mean, I'm a big fan of the films. Because, you know, when you look at a low-budget movie, and then people go, well, we couldn't do it because we don't have the time, we don't have the power, we don't have the money, and I'm like, then, you know, what about films like this that use a lot of ingenuity, creativity, with its camera work? I don't just love Evil Dead because it's gory. That was my problem with the remake, one of the problems. The other, I didn't care for anybody. Here, I care about Bruce Campbell and his character, but, also, Evil Dead wasn't just about gore. I like the gore, but it's the creativity of the camera work and the angles and the crazy stuff. You know, him looking around, there's this big ass pipe that just dumps this load of blood on him. Looking in the mirror, touching it, it turns to water, and he's freaking out. It's that sort of stuff as well. And they shot what was in Tennessee. And yeah, it was a lot of hard work with very little money, but there's a reason why this became such a big film, and this got released as well as the sequels like 15 times on DVD and Blu-ray by Anchor Bay or whatever the hell. Weirdly enough, this actually is Stars. Yeah, Anchor Bay and Stars. So maybe that's why I got on the Stars network. Because this DVD is pretty old. 2007. Huh. So, yeah, they were releasing, well, I guess Anchor, yeah, that's why. That's probably why if there's footage, that's why they probably have footage of the first two films on there, I've heard. And, of course, Army of Darkness is owned by Universal, and they're not going to have Army of Darkness on that show. And this is all stuff I've heard. But anyway, getting to this film, I know it's 20 minutes in. But The Evil Dead, even from the beginning of the film, I guess I should mention this before I go on. I'm actually trying to do my own fan edit of the Evil Dead films, of linking all three together, like chopping the beginning of Evil Dead 2 off to the moment that really is the sequel, trying to put that to the end of this one, and then, you know, adding all my own touches throughout and stuff. So, yeah, it's tough, but it's fun to do. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try it. Because I did it for my fan edit of Hard Target, I want to do it for this. But for right from the beginning, just the force, well, not the force, but the evil force. This camera just going over the woods, and How they did that was just, for a low budget film, is very well done. And then you have films like The Outing that would try to steal it, and for their shitty movies, aka The Lamp, or whatever the fuck you want to call that movie. But just establishing the mood of the flick. Again, 5 college people, 2 guys, 3 girls. And it is always weird that Ash has a sister, because there's a moment where she's a deadite in the basement, in the cellar, and she goes, "It's your sister Cheryl." And I'm like, Cheryl, huh? He never mentions his sister again. And maybe that's just the beginning of Evil Dead 2. They wanted to get the footage and they couldn't, and this and that, but it is funny that his sister's never mentioned again. His girlfriend is, but not his sister. So I just found that pretty interesting when you think about it. Your sister got raped by a tree. Of course, I guess he wouldn't know that unless you saw the movie. Unless he saw the movie, because I don't think she told anyone that she gets raped by a tree. But this film, the look of the cabin looks fantastic. Definitely tell they were inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, especially when you look inside. Cool stuff like that old school grandfather clock. The Hills of Ice poster in the cellar, which they saw the Hills of Ice and saw a ripped Jaws poster. They go, "Oh, maybe that was Wes saying that, oh, Jaws was just a film, pop culture. This is real horror, Hills of Ice." Which, to be honest, it's not, because I don't like Wes Craven's Hills of Ice. I like the remake more. I like Evil Dead more than Hills of Ice. But, so they have a ripped poster of Hills of Ice saying, "Oh no, that's just a movie. This is real terror." And again, I like this much more than... No disrespect to Wes Craven. May he rest in peace. I miss the guy so much. But Hills of Ice was one of those films he made that I just didn't care for. I'm like, just give me... I'd rather watch Shocker 10 times in a row. But, other than Bruce Campbell, the other actors, they're not Oscar caliber actors. The writing is not Oscar caliber either. Doesn't have to be Oscar caliber. It's not great, but I could tolerate it. I don't know if because I've seen the film so many times, or I just really love the rest of the film, or I enjoy Bruce Campbell. I could tolerate the other actors. I thought Ellen Sandweiss actually wasn't bad, Ellen Sandweiss. And the others, they did fine for what they had to do. And yeah, there's not much character development. But even still, instantly, I like Bruce Campbell. He's just a normal guy. Gives that present to his girlfriend. They do the thing with the eyes where they're looking. And Bruce thinks Fate needs to sleep. And then she looks at him, trying to get this, whatever this little present he's going to give her. Then when she looks down, he opens his eyes. And when she looks, he closes his eyes. Then they goof with each other and shows that they're in love. And then that's play later when he's trying to bury his girlfriend. So I thought that was a nice sort of callback later in the flick. And even when they're driving to the cabin and the camera's right on top of the car, following them right down that lonely road. And as the movie goes on, it really ratchets up. That's the thing that makes this film work. Some may call it a slow burn, even though it's a pretty short film. It's only 80-some minutes long. But man, when it gets going, it really gets going. I mean, the evil force looking outside and doing these great movements. The look at the deadites with these white eyes that were pretty big contact lenses that they could not see out of. And they had to literally really get them right in the eye. And they just sound painful when you hear them describe it on the documentary. And the gore is very fun to watch as well. I mean, you have the scene where they're fighting one that's become a deadite. Her face falls to the fire. They pull her out. The hand gets fucked up, and she bites the rest of her hand off. And then, stab her the back. So dagger that has a skull on it with a little mouth, and even the little mouth is like spitting up blood as she's been stabbed in the back. Like little details like that is fun to see. And when you look at the film, it does really show that Bruce Campbell's character, if I had not seen Army of Darkness Evil Dead 2, if I had just seen this film first and didn't know anything about it, you would not think Bruce Campbell was the lead because, oh, well, maybe it'd be this female Ellen Sandweiss, and then she gets turned to a Deadite. Oh, you would think it's the Scotty guy because he's the one fighting this girl, this Deadite, not Ellen Sandweiss, the other girl, and stabs her and then has to chop her up. And of course, that's the example of the continuity not working because she bit one hand off, the other hand you see it get cut off, thus she would have no hands. But when a scene of Scotty right here chopping like this, blood going on the screen, you still see a hand reach up and you're like this and you're like it's like, what the hell? She has a third hand? So it is, like little mistakes like this, like, wait a minute, what the hell is that? But, what's that deal? And no, in my fan edit, I'm not going to be able to take all that out, because there's certain moments it's just impossible, but, I don't know, maybe it gives it that charm, or maybe you just go, well, it's the Evil Dead, look what they do with the house, they didn't do anything, I don't know, but, you know, either you go with it or you don't. But just the creativity of, for example, that whole third act of the film. Well, I mean, even before that, the what's her name? Betsy Baker having that baby doll voice. We're gonna get you, not another peep. Time to go to sleep. Wasn't annoying, and it was kind of like, ooh, shit. And beats the shit out of her, but at the same time, you're not like, ooh, he's beating up a woman. It's like, yeah, it's Bruce Campbell beating up a Deadite. Even chops her head off and lands on Bruce, and all this blood spurts on him. And before that, when he's buried her, she digs into his, like, right behind his foot, his leg, and just, you can see that it's just really digging in. Apparently, that wasn't that actress who they gave, like, I think that's the one they gave like a, what was it, a gray wig. I think she like broke her fingernails, like they were bent backwards, and then she still had to do it. It's like, eh. So yeah, I mean, it was a rough shoot. But yeah, I look at this stuff and I go, this poor guy, he's having the worst night of his life. Just the worst. It just keeps on going for this poor guy. That's kind of what appeals to me, is that I feel sorry for this guy. I put myself in his place. And, people are like, oh, why didn't you cut his girlfriend up? I mean, it's not a normal thing to think, oh, let me just cut up my girlfriend with a chainsaw. Which is funny, if you think about it. A lot of these promotions, including this, has him with a chainsaw, but he never uses the chainsaw. He's ready to use it, but he never actually uses the chainsaw, but he has so much in the promotion. So I thought that's one thing I'm going to say. I would like to at least kill one Deadite with a chainsaw on this, in case there isn't allowed the promotion. I would like that. At least maybe in the third act I'll give the Evil Dead remake this, that killing that Deadite, cut it in half with a chainsaw at the end. Damn good effect. I wish Ash could do that. I doubt he does it on the show. If he does, someone can let me know. But I like to see that happen on that show. But yeah, give that to Ash. Let him do that. So that would have been nice to see, at least to one of the Deadites. But just him shooting, blowing a big old hole here, and then shooting, blowing a hole in the face of this one Deadite, of his sister, really. I guess before I get in the third act, you had mentioned the tree rape scene. I think even Sam Raimi's a bit ashamed of that nowadays. And it was definitely a unique rape scene. I have seen more horrific rape scenes. I Spit on Your Grave. Even Galaxy of Terror. I think that rape scene's even more horrific than the rape scene in Evil Dead. Uh, Maybe because like she immediately like gets up and runs away, and then you know. Yeah, there's a reason I think you don't see that kind of stuff in the other Evil Dead films. I think even Sam Raimi, like, he was even like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Because even in the remake, I don't think it rapes her. It's fucking with her, but not fucking her. At least, if it did, then I don't remember the remake that well, and that's another notch against it. The remake not being memorable. This is to me memorable, and not just because of the gore, because again the filmmaking techniques and the on such a low budget, and again Bruce Campbell has a good, I think he has a good charisma presence to him. I mean nowadays he's kind of just playing, not kind of, he's just playing the same guy, but here he's not playing. It's not Bruce Campbell playing Bruce Campbell. It's Bruce Campbell just playing a normal guy in a shitty situation, which is nice to see. And I think he does fine. And I think the sound effects and Joe LaDuca's music, when you hear it, I think it fits the film very well. And I keep mentioning that third act because, which is funny, I know a piece of that third act you can see actually in a Nightmare on Elm Street. I think Nancy is watching it. And they like tat each other. For example, in Evil Dead 2, you see the Freddy glove. So I like that they sort of tat each other, Wes Craven, Sam Raimi. But just all the stuff that happens in that third act, again, for going from looking at the grandfather clock, and then the camera's behind the grandfather clock going ch ch ch, opening the door, and the camera's at an angle, and something's rushing him, and he turns, and then the camera's another angle, and it's like up close of his face, and then going across and up top is like boom, 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 or woo, woo, woo. That makes the film interesting to me when you're doing that. It's like, okay, a guy is by himself. Let's do something inventive and creative and original. Especially at the time, that was definitely original to do. And then go in the basement, yeah, let's have this big old pipe just have blood spurt on his face, and have the screen projector with that music. And just blood dripping on the projector and blinding them, and again light bulb filling up with blood. That was again influenced by Three Stooges. Plumbing we will go, and then the light bulb blows up, and it's just this poor guy in a shitty situation, and just really feel bad for the guy. And I mean, this stuff I like in the first two acts, but the third act just really made it a home run for me. And then, of course, him getting beat up, and here's one that I put his thumbs right into the eyes and pulling this stick out, which I know if you blink, you think it's his dick, but it's just a stick that he pulls out, not a dick. Or you look at this and they're smacking him in the back, and he's trying to get the Book of the Dead, throw him to the fire, and the demise, just a huge explosion of gore, where arms come out and blood splashing over, the throat bursts with blood, the fucking other thing, see, even my cat's getting excited. Get out of here. Once it's clawing at the door. See, even like my cat, he's hearing me talking about Evil Dead, and he's like, holy shit, I gotta hear this. I gotta hear more of this up close and personal. This gory finale. Even my cat's getting it. See, even Pussy likes this movie. See? But, likes the finale. I mean, just the neck exploding, with blood and all this other stuff. And you're like, holy shit. And the head coming down and exploding, hitting Bruce Campbell in the face. And then, yeah, I like stop motion animation. Some people don't like it. But how people feel, how I feel about CGI, which I think is overused and sometimes don't look right to me, other people feel about stop motion. So how you feel about CGI, you like it. I like stop motion animation. And it's really fun to see. I think it works fine. Amen. See, again, this cat just getting excited about this damn movie. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. The Ultimate Experience and Ruling Terror. I don't blame him one bit. But I like stop motion animation. I don't mind stop motion. I think it works perfectly fine for this movie. I can understand, being off and other movies, but here I thought, okay, that just fits fine. I get just the explosion of blood and then him coming out, that sweet music and that crazy evil force going through the entire cabin and hitting them. And of course, because I had seen Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2, I knew he wasn't dead. Because that was the whole point, was that he died in that scene. But when they made the sequel, if you get rid of the first 6 minutes, that's almost that same scene is in there. So they did that for a reason. And the reason they couldn't is because they couldn't get the footage of this movie, and then they would want to kind of reshoot bits of this. I think even Sam Raimi was going to play the Scotty character, but then they didn't have the money and time for it, so then you get this truncated thing, which makes it more confusing. Is it a remake? I looked at Evil Dead 2 as a sequel, because I just ignored the first 6 minutes. Well, what about the house? Well, again, if it can make light bulbs fill it with blood, like where did the blood come from? And if it can make mirrors turn to water, then it can fix itself up as well when Ash got knocked out. When Ash, I mean, at least the way I added it, it's going to be that way. But I love this movie. Really enjoy this film. I love the look of the Deadites, the sounds, the camera work, the filmmaking technique, what they could do with a low budget. The gore is fun to watch. Bruce Campbell, I think, did fine in his role as Ash. Again, he was never... You can't say, oh, he was always an asshole. Then you didn't see the first 2 Evil Dead films. You really didn't. And even Army of Darkness, I'll explain why. I can understand why he acted that way. I mean, when you go through Evil Dead 2, and then you fall down in a vortex, get sucked in, after, killing your girlfriend, doing all the shit you did with Evil Dead 2, and then, what's the first thing that happens? You get put in chains, you get whipped, you get rocks thrown into your head, and then you get pushed to a damn pit for 2 months to kill your ass, and then you gotta climb up as the walls are closing in. I would be pissed off at them too. Like he says, first you're gonna kill me, now you're gonna kiss me. I don't blame him. I mean, even that girl was pulling his head and throwing shit at him, and no one would give him the time of day, no one would listen to him. After all the shit he went through Evil Dead 2, I'd be cranky too. So I can, like, when I'm watching all 3 of these movies back to back, I'm like, that's right, all the shit he did Evil Dead 2, and, immediately they do that. Well, how would I feel? So, Army of Darkness I can deal with watching it again. But yeah, The Evil Dead, I think it's a classic movie. I know some people feel it's overrated. I disagree. This is, I think, a great horror movie. Great, I was never scared, but honestly, I never get scared at horror films. I could probably name like 3 times. Honestly, like, one I was creeped out, which is the Blair Witch Project when I first saw it. It was something new. At least, I mean, I found a layer of their stuff before, but for me, it was something new. I had never seen anything like that. There's Cannibal Holocaust and 84 Charlie Mopic and stuff before that, but I didn't know that till later. But that was the first time I saw it, and I still enjoyed Blair Witch. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. So, but I think for a look at low-budget filmmaking, it shows what you can do with it. Creative camera work, buckets of gore, and filmmaking that just was like, what's going to happen next? And just one guy's poor as fuck night of hell, which is Bruce Campbell's Ash, just made me root for him even more. So I love The Evil Dead, really enjoy it. Thanks for watching, take care, and stay tuned for my review of the sequel, my favorite, Evil Dead 2. Probably won't be as long of a review because this was more like my introduction to Evil Dead and showing stuff. But Evil Dead 2, again, I love all 3, but if I had to pick a favorite, probably be Evil Dead 2, and you'll know why next time. So we will see you later. Bye-bye.